and aerial surveillance to arrest people. Across the world, people are leaving their homes and their countries because of hunger, violence, political repression, poverty, and a lack of economic opportunity. Many seek safety and economic opportunity in the United States, as well as other countries in the region. Criminal smuggling organizations prey on migrants. They lie about U.S. immigration laws and hide the extreme dangers of the journey because they care only about money. But the U.S. border is not open to illegal or irregular migration, and U.S. immigration laws remain strict even as the COVID-19 public health order known as Title 42 ends. The Department of Homeland Security is simply returning to fully enforcing United States immigration laws under Title 8, placing people into removal proceedings and removing those who have no basis to remain in the United States. Unlike Title 42, Title 8 laws impose immigration and criminal consequences, including final orders of removal, deportation, a 5-year ban on re-entry, and possible criminal prosecution if you attempt to re-enter. The United States has and will continue to enforce our nation's immigration laws. The U.S. Border Patrol works every day to protect our borders using sophisticated technology, cameras, and aerial surveillance to arrest people attempting to cross the border illegally. Under Title 8, individuals and families who arrive without authorization can be subject to removal. Through expedited removal, certain non-citizens can be returned to their country of origin very quickly. Certain non-citizens may be returned to Mexico even if they are not Mexican citizens. Dozens of deportation flights take place every week. Last year, the U.S. removed or expelled more than 1.4 million people, more than any previous year. Do not put your life at risk by taking the dangerous journey only to be sent back. Many migrants don't know this and believe the lies they see on social media or hear from others. Smugglers count on that. Smugglers may not explain the dangers, that migrants are often assaulted, abused, or kidnapped for extortion by criminal cartels. Smugglers lie about the risks of death due to heat and dehydration, the dangers of drowning trying to cross the river, or the injuries that migrants could suffer falling from the border barriers. Smugglers also lie or leave out the fact that non-citizens who arrive without authorization are subject to removal from the United States. Migrants who try to illegally enter the U.S. without authorization will be arrested and processed, which means they are screened and vetted against criminal and other databases. Anyone who poses a threat will be removed as quickly as possible or detained in accordance with the law. The fact is, most non-citizens coming to our border are not eligible to remain in the United States. Asylum laws do not provide for relief solely for economic reasons or for general violence. U.S. authorities may detain migrants until removal. In some cases, non-citizens may be temporarily released as they await the results of their immigration court proceedings only if they have passed screening and vetting. They are required to check in with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement on a regular basis and may be given ankle monitors or similar electronic devices. If temporarily released, the federal government does not provide help or financial support to non-citizens, and non-citizens must report the addresses where they stay. An immigration judge may grant asylum or other forms of relief or protection if non-citizens qualify. Most do not. If a non-citizen receives a final order of removal through their immigration court proceedings, they will be taken into custody or remain in custody and are subject to removal from the United States. These are our immigration laws, and it would take an act of Congress to change them. Do not believe smugglers who just want to make a profit. Lawful pathways are the right way for migrants to come to the United States. DHS will continue to enforce the laws of the United States of America.
Okay. That's how we gonna start. We gonna start with some data. You guys may not understand this, but when you come to Individual Perspective Podcast, we want you to know what's real. Only reason why I played that video for you guys is because I didn't play it from Trump. I played it from the Biden administration. Okay? That's why it says last year, so much illegal immigrants were like sitting back. We let 15 to 25 million people into this country over Biden's administration, 4 years. Do you think any of that they abide by? Even his homeland security, do you think any of that they actually paid attention to the law and what's real? But because liberals and Democrats, and I'm not trying to make this a Republican, because I hate Republicans too. I hate them with a passion. I hate them. I don't like Republicans. I don't dislike Democrats. I just don't think about them. I think they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. But I definitely hate Republicans because they're supposed to be in opposition to anything that's put on the table, and they're just passive. They're just bystanders to the destruction of the country. They're weak, so I don't like Republicans, okay? But I played that from the Biden's administration so you won't take my word, or Trump supporter, or a Republican, or conservative, or whatever rhetoric that you guys might label me as. Don't take my word for it. Take Biden, a socialist, liberal, and all his administration employees and staff, radicals, okay? Take their word for what they have to say under the law, and make sure that they don't get criminalized for what they're doing. They gotta at least present that, what the truth is, how you conduct yourself coming into this country. Now we know majority of the people that came over during the Biden administration came in illegal ports of entry, meaning if you're not coming through the front door, that's like a border ports of entry, right, where the border crossing is, so they can check your ID, they can do it as they say, okay, what brings you to America, and you tell them what brings you to America, they log it and they let you in. Or they say, if you say, oh, I'm coming here because I want to get a better life, well, we don't. The asylum is not for a better life. Like I said, the asylum is not for, claiming asylum is not for economic purposes, or even like violence, meaning like you got drug dealers in your neighborhood, or you got gangbangers, or you got a high rate of crime going on in your country and stuff like that. That is not a reason to claim asylum. That's what the baseline means, okay? So now you know that most of the people that came into America since Ronald Reagan to Biden are illegal. We're talking about 25 to 60 million people, but we know for sure it's 25 to 35 million people are here illegally. Okay? We're going to get to why I'm talking about this. I just want you guys to know, when you think about Minnesota and all the different things that's popping off in Minnesota, Minneapolis, and different other wild situations throughout our country, but we're going to stick with Minnesota today because Minneapolis is an issue that we must confront today. Okay? So when you think about that stuff, you got to think about what's the cause and effect of the outcome they're getting right now. Okay? So first, I need you to understand that claiming asylum, giving illegal immigrants or people that's claiming, I want to claim asylum inside your country. This is unsustainable to unlimited. Oh, excuse me, it's pretty early to claim unlimited to this. Okay. Excuse me, it's early in the morning. I'm kind of getting this started. I've been up pretty forever, but let's get started. So what I wanted to do is show you guys what the actual data is, what's the law is under radical liberals, what they even have to communicate. So that's coming out of the Biden administration. So when you think it's harsh and it's got harsh rhetoric, that's the law. And don't trip. You can't go to Japan and pull a quarter of the shit that people pull in America. You can't go to China. You can't go to Johannesburg. You can't go to Europe and pull any of the stuff that we allow our politicians and criminal border policies to do in our country. That's why, like, Donald Trump seems like a wild radical, but he's been saying this for the last 40 years, that all this stuff we got to stop. You're going to destroy the country. You get what I'm saying? You're going to destroy the country because I want to go deeper into this, but in the demographics and the ethnic communities and the rights of Black Americans that has been presented for the rights of any person coming into this country. You know, the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment is for Black Americans, for Black descendants of slaves, not for everybody. You get what I'm saying? But we don't care. Black community don't care. They're lost. They're damaged. Their culture is destructive. I'm talking about my people. It's completely catastrophic and self-defeating. Okay? So we're advocating for some ideological hatred towards, like, white people or something, that we're allowing our own destruction, our own demoralization. You get what I'm saying? We're taking our own prosperity away from us in ideologicalness of that. If we give favorability or advocacy for people that skin is closer to ours, that we destroy the white man, the white people. That's how the Black culture thinks, and that's how we move. I think it's retarded. I think it's mental. I think it's a major trauma, but it is what it is. Okay? So, in the midst of what I'm about to show you guys, because I'm all data, I don't know, people probably turning away from me. I hope you stay here and listen. I'm going to give you facts and data, okay? And yes, I might rant and rave, but it's just the truth, okay? So, I wanted to show you, just in case you don't know what our border policies are, there are actual border policies. Now, the ideological thought process coming from the Ivy Leagues and white liberals and stuff like that is that we don't own this country and there's no borders. Even the Indians migrated from Asia. I'm talking about the native Indians migrated from Asia over to this continent. Okay? And yes, only the strong survives. So if somebody else decides to come and overpower or over the dominance, then just as much as land claimed to the native Indians because they were the first roamers around here, or at least the people that claimed the land, you could get claimed from you because your rightfulness is to who's here and who can sustain their position. I know that sounds horrible. Okay? So once that was established in borders from Europe, and the king was like that, the American revolutionaries wanted to set rules to how much England's will can be suppressed onto the American Constitution. So that's why the Declaration of Independence and the Revolutionary War was fought, to establish that the king cannot rule here. So who's ruling here? The Constitution gives individual citizens their ruling. So wherever they are, whoever they are, that's their kingdom. And when you come upon a person's house or their borderline of their house, you're coming into someone's kingdom, an individual's kingdom. It was not, America decided to make a country where every individual person is their own king and queen. So by doing that, it established individuality, individual law. So that's what the Constitution is. And every amendment to the Constitution must rectify itself to the baseline understanding of the right of the individual. That's lost. Okay? It's completely lost. Okay? So, what's my next video? Let's see what this one is. I just want to see what it is. Okay. Yes. When inside that actual presentation, they talked about Title 42 will be ending. And what that was Donald Trump put a actual immigration border crossing policy in called Title 42. And what it says is, if you come up to the border, if you come into the border lines or any territory or anywhere crossing into America, as soon as we grab you, we can send you right out. And that you can't come, if you're trying to claim asylum, you claim asylum inside of Mexico. You don't claim asylum inside the country. So you do it in Canada or you do it in Mexico. So he established that. So that was the law of the land. Because it had an expiration date, because he didn't get reelected, it reverted back to Title 8. And the Title 8 immigration law was what you just got through hearing. That's the baseline. So it's pretty harsh too. You get what I'm saying? And it does give the right to just grab somebody and remove them right back out. You don't have to have no court policies or anything, court proceedings or that we got. That is projected on the president, his how he administrates his Homeland Security, the administration Department of Homeland Security. It's dependent on how the president decides, do you want to hear anyone's claim? If the president says, yeah, we hear their claim, but we hear their claim outside the actual country, giving them no rights to our land. That was how Title 42 did. But by 42 expiring during Biden's administration, and most likely the president would have ratified it before it expired. That's what Trump would have did if he got reelected in 2020. Biden decided to just let it go. You can't have hundreds of thousands of people coming in weekly into the country unless the president and the administration and all the law enforcement decided to allow them to come. How are they going to come in here? How are they going to get a job? How are they going to pay taxes? All that's illegal. All that's illegal. You can't allow a legal immigrant to come into the country. You can't give them, you can't say, okay, because you're claiming asylum. No, it's not to be, asylum is not to be justified by a mayor or a governor to a foreign asylum seeker. They have to go to the border patrol, here's their claim, and under their claim, they got to pass a vetting circumstances to even just to check their background, and then they got to go in front of a judge to rule if they got validation of claiming asylum. But remember, you can't claim asylum because you want a better life. You got to literally be the enemy of the president of another country, or the military trying to kill you and your family or something. You know what I mean? And you're leaving because of like a genocide that's going on in your country. So America, they don't want to go and stop a murder and murders inside of another country because the actual president and the administration of that country decides to destroy all certain ethnic groups or religions in that group. So you leave and you come to the American border and you actually claim asylum to say, hey, they're killing us because we're Christians. They're killing us because we're Hispanic. That gives you the right for asylum to claim asylum. But if that's not happening, and you're just a regular citizen and you don't like the violence, you don't like the poverty, you don't like the situation inside your country, and gangs and stuff like that, you have no right to asylum. So a actual judge, an immigration judge, has to, even if he doesn't like it, even if his heart waters or her heart waters for your wanting to have a better life inside of America, they have to say you are not approved for asylum. That's why majority all the people that come to the border is supposed to actually not get asylum. But what happened? They got it. You know what I mean? You cannot allow 4 million in 4 years. You cannot allow 15 to 25 million people to come into the country and give them all the rights that most likely the situation of the individuals are, that maybe 10 to 20% of them may be eligible to be heard and their complaint to be heard. Majority of them is not supposed to be here. You can't tell me that 15 to 25 million people were 30% or 20% of the people that came to the border. That's the majority, all of them. Now, due to President Trump's administration, this second term, you've been seeing that they've been arresting a lot of gang members, a lot of like real drug dealers, real people that actually their country told us they murder people. So how the hell are they in the country if we vetted it? Okay, we didn't let 10. We missed 10 of them. We miss 100. How do you miss 20 to 100,000 murderers and criminals? How do you miss that? Because we let everybody in. We tried to change the demographic of the country. Now we're in the bickering because you have a lot of liberals and a lot of crazy people. Even like we got construction workers, masculine construction workers. They pissed off and coming on Twitter and X and TikTok talking about these are our neighbors. These are blah, blah, blah. We don't give a shit. Everybody gets removed that came in here illegally over the last 30, 40 years. Everybody. This is unsustainable. You guys are taking prosperity away from people that lived a whole life here. Their ancestors died for this country. And you're taking prosperity away from them because everybody bicker about reparations. I always thought that's stupid and it's a dumb thing to ask for because it's just ridiculous to try to make people that didn't have nothing to do with slavery pay for people that was descendant of slaves. It's just dumb, okay? But we allow our government to give reparations to like immigrants and asylum seekers that come into the country for a better life. We are said, like, do your homework. We're giving them houses, we're giving them cars, we're giving them about 2 to 3 years worth of income and economic value. We're actually helping them start their businesses. If they got a business idea, from food trucks to restaurants to construction companies, we are actually funding a lot of immigrants. We spent hundreds of billions of dollars setting them up. And we're actually bickering. And trust me, Black Caucus knows this. They got the books. That's why they fought, the Congress, liberals fought to make sure that the IRS didn't give, and the Treasury didn't give where they were sending checks to illegal immigrants, because it's going to show you this illegal immigrant came in here. They were a legal immigrant. Then they were paid welfare and all this other stuff. It'll show you where they all at now. If you want to know who's here illegal and how to know it, where they at, you got to look at in order for the government to give people money, they got to put it in check form. The only people that knows that for any welfare recipients or anything, they got to put it in the checks. They got to put it in the log system, and that log system is in the IRS and is in the Treasury. So now that the courts decided that the Trump administration can get that information, you'll find out there's more. So I'm not just saying this, and it's not going to be true. It's going to be true. But my thing is, you got black people asking for reparations, but it shows you that they don't care about reparations. Why? Because they bitch and moan about it. They have their leaders bitch and moan about it, but they really don't want no results. But you could have reparations because that same amount of money that you asking for to give to every black American that's in the country reparations, they gave it to about 3 to 5 times to illegal immigrants and SEAC asylums and migrations from the last 40 years. So don't let them tell you that they don't have the money. They absolutely had the money. They absolutely had the money. They just decided to give it to some people that they're taking a bet on that they'll be more valuable in society than you, black people. That's just what it is. So Title 42 stopped any asylum seekers. They're bloviating to why they came to the border, why they need asylum, all that stuff. It stopped them in their tracks, where we can decide or we can evaluate it in our timely fashion on the other side of the border. So when Title 42 expired under the Biden administration, Title 8 came into play, which it allows people to kind of, if they get caught, they grab them coming in illegally, and they may hear their claim, but they also have the right to push them out. It's all dependent on how the president at that time decides that they want to actually hear it out. They're supposed to, no matter what, when it's all said and done, majority of them, they to come here for a better life. We don't have any proof that you were like a major player in politics in your country and you were seeking asylum because you're going to get assassinated or something. We don't see any data to that. Don't tell me that you got gangs in your neighborhood, so you want to get away from the violence inside your country. Don't tell us that you want to live a better life and make a better life for your family. That's, if you go on all the internet, if you hear all the Hispanics and the different illegal people that come in, the legal immigrants that come into the country, all you'll hear them say is they want to do a better life for their family. They want to live the American dream. That's illegal to give them asylum for that. Don't take my word. Do your homework. I played it in, rewind it. I played it in from the beginning. That's not just a video of some right-wing people. That's liberal administration putting the actual data out there in communication to what's the lawful requirements to come into this country and become a citizen, or even be in this country waiting through the asylum process. That's what it is. So all the stuff that you guys been hearing, everything that you're going to be hearing, it is illegal for them to be in this country if they're not political oppositions seeking asylum from being assassinated or murdered or a genocidal situation going on in their country. This is ridiculous, y'all. Okay, so Title 8. I'm gonna let this play because you need to understand what this is. This is to get a clear understanding what the original law is.
Welcome to County Office, your ultimate guide to local government services and public records. Let's get started.
What is Title 8 immigration? So you're wondering what Title 8 immigration is all about. Let's dive into it. Title 8 is a part of the U.S. Code, specifically the section titled Aliens and Nationality. It's a collection of laws that govern how the United States handles immigration and border enforcement. These laws have been around for decades and include a wide range of provisions. For instance, Title 8 outlines who is eligible to enter the country, the process for deporting individuals who are not allowed to stay, and the rules for asylum seekers. One key aspect of Title VIII is the process for deporting migrants. If someone is deported under Title VIII, they could face significant consequences, such as being banned from re-entering the U.S. for at least 5 years. If they try to re-enter the country illegally after being deported, they could face charges and even jail time. Title VIII also includes expedited removal procedures. This means that migrants who don't have a legal basis to stay in the U.S. can be quickly deported without a court hearing. However, if these migrants...
Do you understand that? They could be deported. They could be deported without a court hearing. Meaning, if they come to the border and they tell them, "Okay, why are you here?" "Oh, I'm trying to get a better life," or "We're poor. We want to live in America. We need help. We don't have a home." You deport them. Right then and there. There's no reason for them to claim asylum or for an immigration court judge to even hear them. Think about that. What gives you, why, what can you communicate to make it where you got to see a judge? You get what I'm saying? Most people, they're not saying anything to make them say, a judge say, "Wow, we gotta take it to a higher authority." If the Border Patrol and the actual border process can have that, they have the power. If the Border Patrol and the border process of entry or legals crossing and capture, if they have the process and the power to kick you right out the country and you can't see a judge, that's pretty much where all the legal immigrants are here. And it's just, for some reason, a politician decided to say, we're going to hear every single person. We're going to let everybody in. It's all illegal, meaning that senators, congressmen, judges, governors, mayors are all criminals. Effective of that law, they're all criminals and they should be prosecuted and sent to jail. See, I want you guys to understand, effective of the way our government has been processing, if just on the purposes of laws that are under immigration policies. If you go from 1980s all the way to now, just on what presidents, governors, mayors, border patrol officers, immigration departments under the executive branch, police officers inside of actual different cities and counties, in how they regulated or did not regulate the laws and immigration laws under Title VIII. They're all illegals and they're all criminals. We're talking about cops. We're talking about judges. We're talking about prosecutors. We're talking about senators, congressmen. We're talking about mayors. We're talking about governors and presidents and administration department heads of the administration, even FBI agents, because they all are supposed to remove all illegal immigrants outside the country. They're not supposed to be here waiting for 10, 20 years, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. It's under Title VIII. We have the actual power to not have to go in front of a court and go through a procedure to remove a person. Title VIII gives them the right to use executive decision to remove a person right then and there. So that's why I say American citizens that are lawful American citizens, you are a fool. There's no reason that you should be following law or anything, not because I'm saying it, because the law says it. If you cannot trust the judge, prosecutors, congressmen, senators, governors, mayors, police officers. You cannot trust them to abide by the law when it's convenient for them, when it seems right for them to actually say, we'll follow this law. If they decide to allow an illegal immigrant, a person that has no legitimate standing, if we talk about just one case, it's all illegitimate. Why? Because that's what they do. I can't understand why it's certain people that have actually been found innocent of a crime that another person been found guilty of, and they actually broke the law the same exact way. It's illegitimate. That means the way it's articulated gets you off or gets you in prison or violated. That's not fair. That means that the judicial system and justice is under perception. Is under how it's perceived, how that specific person feels, meaning that it's not equally balanced and it's not fair to everyone across the board. It's not favorable to individuals. You get what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. I mean, people shouldn't be kind of like serving time that a person did, and then the same exact person did, and they're not serving time. You get what I'm saying? That's unbalanced. Why are they not both serving time? That's equal under the law. So that's why I always tell people, when you allow our government to do political prosecutions and stuff like that, you actually make it a statute now. So or case filing where a prosecutor can say, well, under Donald Trump versus New York, we were able to charge a person under to this situation. We didn't have to have a bank or a actual company that was injured and that they claimed that they were a victim. We just perceived that they should have claimed that they were a victim, and because we perceived that they should claim them a victim, that's why we decided to prosecute this person. Not that the actual person broke a law. It's just the perception of a illogical prosecutor. That's why I say we're living in a country that has no legitimacy. That's the sad problem. Love America. There's very, very few things ever going to be existence on this planet Earth that will be like America. But look what we're doing. Look what we did to it. That's what I want you guys to understand with Title 8. You don't have to see a judge. You don't have to have the right to see a judge. We can move your ass right back out this country. And I'm only stating this because even in your house, even in your personal life, you got to have a border, a threshold line that nobody better not cross. Family, friends, enemies, friends, or foes, or strangers. Nobody better cross that line. What is America? What is America's? Because it's all up in the air right now. It all is under evaluation, is under perspective. It has no, we don't have a line. It's all over the place. It is, for this person is one way, for this person is one way, for these people is one way, for this ideology is one way. It's very sporadic. It has no sense or purpose.
Migrants claim asylum, they must go through an initial screening with an asylum officer to avoid deportation. Asylum law is another crucial part of Title 8. Migrants who physically reach U.S. soil have the right to request asylum, regardless of how they entered the country. Under Title 8, these migrants must be given an initial interview to assess their asylum claim. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, Title 8 was the primary law guiding border enforcement. During the pandemic, the U.S. government used Title 42, a public health law, to quickly expel migrants without processing their asylum claims. However, with the end of the pandemic emergency, the U.S. has reverted back to using Title 8 for processing migrants. In practice, this means that border authorities will follow the more traditional immigration processes outlined in Title VIII, which include giving migrants the opportunity to claim asylum and imposing stricter penalties for those who are deported. So, to sum it up, Title VIII is the foundation of U.S. immigration law, covering everything from who can enter the country to the consequences for those who are deported, and it plays a critical role in how the U.S. manages its borders.
So, like they wanted to throw that liberal stuff in there about, oh, did you can claim asylum? Yeah, you claim asylum to the actual border patrol officer, and if it don't make sense to him, if he feels like it's not legitimate, he kick you right the hell out the country. You get what I'm saying? Unless the president tells all the border patrol officers to let everybody in and don't regulate how their claim to asylum is, all asylum seekers are legitimate. It's illegal, but that's what President Biden did. Okay? And that was, remember, I'm giving you guys liberal communications, okay? That's got a little, like shine put on it, a little gentle put on it. So that's the county office, okay? So I'm just letting you guys know, this is not conservative, this is not Republicans, this is not Trump supporters, none of this. This is coming from the people that are fighting for illegal immigrants, okay? It allowed them to come and pour into the country and disrupt society of America, because that's what just happened over the last 30, 40 years, but really hardcore over the last 4 years. That's what just happened, okay? Well, previously, before Trump came back in, okay? So I just want to give you guys the understanding of it, okay? So let's go to the next thing.
Which allowed the U.S. to quickly expel migrants to their country.
And look, I want you guys to understand the immigration policies, because once you start feeling so heart-beated and a bleeding heart for like illegal immigrants and border crossers and asylum seekers and stuff, understand this is disruptive to the country. And if you're too dumb to understand it in a major big situation like our country, understand it in a micro like your house. Look at your house as United States of America, and the front lawn as the border, the sidewalk of the front of your front lawn as your border. Okay. Where your fencing is around your house is your border, okay? Where your thresh line to your neighbor's house, to the people on the next street, to that thresh line to your neighbor, into your backyard, and to your neighbor's yard, and to your neighbor's front yard, and to the front of the sidewalk of the actual front of your house. That's your borderline. What if just because the people wanted, they just didn't want to sleep under a bridge. They didn't want to. They didn't want to live on the street in the downtown city. They decided to live on your front yard. They decided to kind of sleep on your porch, sit like lay on your backyard patio. Okay, and not getting permission. We just it's so much stuff going on. People just migrated there. They just migrated there. And then you come out the yard and say, hey man, why you on my lawn? Why you putting a tent up on my front yard? Why you in my backyard living and sleeping on my grass and using the bathroom and everything like that? What are you doing here? And they just tell you, hey, I need a place to be because where I come from is violent. It's a bad neighborhood. It's violent. It's got gang members. It's just really bad, and it's not peaceful. It's not quiet. It's crazy. They our president or our mayor or our governor got political views that are different than mine, and they just start living on your stuff. And then they start coming into you. It's so many people start coming on your lawns and all the people's lawns and their backyard that they got to come in the house now. So they find a way inside your house. So you're coming home and people are in your house taking position. Come on, y'all. Ain't no way in hell the first person on your law is you gonna start being irate and start positioning and strengthening your enforcement to your property. You know that. Why the hell would you allow that to be in your country in the magnitude of hundreds of millions of people? Like we want, like America want to be like China or Thailand with 1 billion people. At least in Thailand and China, those 1 billion people are Chinese people, are Indian people. And we got all demographics, Middle East, Asian, Europeans, all kind of stuff coming into the country. And we're going from a stable foundation of 200 to 300 million people, and we're going to go up to like 400 to 600 million people living in this country. It's unsustainable. It'll be destructive. It will. I don't care what y'all say. But I need to paint a picture for you.
For more than a year, the Biden administration kept in place at the U.S. southern border a Trump-era policy known as Title 42, which allowed the U.S. to quickly expel migrants to their country of origin or Mexican border towns. On April 1st, the administration announced the policy would end on May 23rd, giving U.S. officials time to prepare for what they expect to be an increase in migrant arrivals at the U.S.-Mexico border. Some Democrats support ending the policy and celebrated the announcement, but Republicans are against the decision to end Title 42. But what is Title 42?
So when we say Title 42, what we're actually referring to is an order issued by the director of the Centers for Disease Control.
And that CDC order empowered border enforcement agencies to remove migrants crossing to the United States, including those hoping to apply for asylum, which is their right under U.S. law and international treaty. Title 42 also blocked entry of asylum seekers who presented themselves at ports of entry under the policy.
It's aimed specifically at the entry of immigrants at the U.S.-Mexico border who do not have documents.
Once Title 42 was implemented at the U.S.-Mexico border, immigrants encountered by Border Patrol officers were sent back to Mexico within hours or back to their country of origin within days, without any legal consequence to those who try to cross between ports of entry. They were also blocked from asking for asylum.
If they had been processed under immigration law, there would be a consequence that would make it harder for them to come back legally under immigration law. So by using Title 42, there was no consequence. And therefore, what we saw was many immigrants, particularly Mexicans, who had been expelled back to Mexico, would simply try again.
According to U.S. Customs and Border Patrol data, Title 42 has been used in most of the estimated 2 million expulsions of migrants from Brazil, Central America, Haiti, Mexico, and Colombia since March 2020. The number of encounters is higher than the actual number of migrants crossing the border because many of those migrants are crossing multiple times in the same month. This February, U.S. border officials registered 164,973 migrant encounters. Of those, 91,513 were expelled. The rate,
meaning that 70% of them was allowed to stay in the country. And those some fake-ass numbers.
rate of repeated crossing attempts is estimated to be 30% higher in the Title 42 era. Federal law allows people from other countries to seek asylum in the United States if they fear persecution at home. They must be present in the U.S. and prove a fear of persecution on one of 5 grounds: race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social class.
race. They're all the same race. Okay, people from Uganda, people from Johannesburg, people from Somalia, people from Mexico, people from Venezuela, people from Ecuador, people from El Salvador, people from all over the place. Where they're leaving, same race. Okay, they all have the same religion. They all have the same nationality. They're all birthed and born in they descendants from the actual countries they're coming from. Political opinion, you kidding me? Okay, anybody can say, oh, I'm a right wing or I'm a left wing or I'm in opposition of the actual country. That's just ridiculous. That ain't even a real law. That's not even a real reason. And social class, what is that? If you're a person of poverty? Ridiculous. That's illegal. That's illegal. I already played you with the laws of Title 8 is. This is fake. This is a rhetoric from the Biden's administration. There's no way that that's legal. Social class can mean anything. Destructive, man.
After May 23rd, U.S. border officials say they're expecting arrivals to increase at the...
And I want you to know, it's not me just saying it. I'm telling you, if you go read the law, they don't phrase it like that. They don't phrase it like that. That's the administration of Biden administration phrasing it like that.
Southern border, but added that those unable to establish a legal basis to remain in the United States will be removed.
We'll simply go back to processing any encounters.
Look at this. Man, don't even get me started.
Across the border the way we always have under Title 8, which is the immigration authority that has always been in place throughout the history of U.S. Customs and Border Protection. But ultimately, if someone is trying to come in without legal authorization and doesn't have the legal basis to stay, they will be placed in removal proceedings.
Title 8 means that if a migrant passes what's called a credible fear screening by the asylum officer, then their case is referred to immigration court, where the migrant can apply for asylum as a defense against being deported. If they don't pass the initial screening or are denied in immigration court, the applicant will be removed. If they try to come back without documents, the penalties can be higher, such as being prosecuted under criminal law and denied the ability to apply for any legal immigration visa in the future.
They say that to try to make themselves seem legitimate, but we know for sure that most of the seekers, most of the people that came in over the last 4 years, they wasn't able to get to a court. They just brought them in, housed them, actually gave them driver's license. That allowed for them to automatically get put in voter rolls in California and different cities and stuff. And they're pretty much here. And they say that a lot of legal immigrants are paying taxes. They pay taxes like us. Well, it's illegal for a legal immigrant to pay taxes. You're making a person that's illegitimately here, that has no legal citizen rights to be here. It has absolutely no social security to say that they are an official citizens of America. You're giving them some fake document or some temporary document that they have no right to because they're not citizens. They haven't been nationalized. And you're making them pay taxes, and our government and IRS and Treasury is taking taxes from a legal immigrant. That is illegal. That's illegal. So every time you hear a senator, a congressman, a judge, or anybody say, oh, they pay taxes, that's illegal for them to pay taxes. If you find out a legal immigrant is paying taxes, that alone makes them deportable because they're doing an illegal. They're actually doing an illegal act. By being here, period, they're illegal, and that's a criminal act. And coming over the border illegally and not do the port of entry is illegal, and you're a criminal, and you get deported just because you just did just that on the street. If you stay here and you find some way, or a liberal city, gives you a driver's license and you got some kind of temporary like social security number or some crazy, I don't know what that is. It's illegal. If you don't have a social security number, it's illegal to have any kind of other form of social security number, and that should be banned. But anyway, if you hear an illegal immigrant that is not a citizen paying taxes, that's illegal. An illegal immigrant. This is ridiculous, y'all. And you say, okay, how are we going to find out which ones? They got documents on these people who came in legally, who came in do a work visa, or who came in do a student visa. They know what that is. And that's why they tell you all the illegals that are here they're documented as an illegal, as a seeking asylum or something like that. And they haven't showed up to court and all the other stuff. They got all that. And you're paying taxes? You own a house and you're illegal? I got a series that I did called the Migrant Paradox. It's on Rumble. It's on my Individual Perspective podcast channel on Rumble. Go watch that. It's called the Migrant Paradox. And I walk through all this. They're getting houses, companies, everything. They're funding the shit out of them illegally. So we have a country that's just completely criminal. But we don't have a law enforcement to act out the laws of the land and go arrest senators, go arrest mayors, go arrest governors. Even if you feel like it's a little law that they broke or some kind of favorable law that they broke and is subjected to political or like public opinion or public persuasion, it's actually illegal on a statute docket. And so you're supposed to be able to go arrest the mayor, go arrest the governor. But no matter how Republican or conservative people act, they're not going to allow, even Trump, he's not going to like be that like black and white to the law that he would say, hey, if that person committed a crime, go arrest them. So all of that it makes all our judicial systems pretty much illegitimate, really. Okay, we're gonna go and look. We're going into Minnesota. Oh, I'm winging you towards it. I just want you guys to understand all that stuff that's going on in Minnesota, the Somalis, the Haitian, all that crazy stuff, whatever's going on, popping off, whatever's going on in like the Somali culture and all the crazy fraud going on there. It's all, we birthed this stuff because we made it a legal country. This country is illegitimate, is unlawful. In most of the people that are in jail for like a lot of white crimes, there's a lot of laws that have been broke, a lot of stuff that senators, congressmen, governors, mayors have done in the last 12 years that made it where even FBI agents, CIA agents, they all did so much illegal stuff that are actually ruled illegal that you got to let those people out of jail. Because their crimes are so much lower and they already served time. If they served a day more than some people that mayors and congressmen that wrote an actual executive order in their state or in their city, to write that executive order, like even like sanctuary cities, that's illegal. States have jurisdiction of their states, but effective of an illegal immigrant crossing over the border, seeking asylum or seeking refuge inside of a sanctuary city, that person, that human being, belongs to the persuasion or the decision of the government, the U.S. Country government. Why? Because that person doesn't have a state right, because they're not a citizen of that state. So for a state to harbor a criminal or a actual subject of the national government, that's illegal to harbor them to be a what they would call a collaborator of a government or a U.S. government criminal. So if a governor or a mayor do a sanctuary city or sanctuary state law or executive order, that executive order is illegal. If the actual state congressmen and the state senators pass a law giving favorability to a U.S. government, national government criminal that cross over the border, because if an illegal immigrant cross over the border, in the actual country rules that is an illegal immigrant and that they have no asylum, they haven't talked to a judge yet, they haven't been processed right, that is a national criminal, and you can't get refuge in a state because that state has actually broke a law to give refuge to a actual national criminal. And a national criminal is an illegal immigrant that crossed over the border breaking a national law. Ridiculous. I know.
Regarding whether or not you have enough money to depart. If you're in the United States illegally and you want the chance to lawfully return in the future, you must self-deport. CBP Home is the new application that will allow you to do this. The CBP Home app has a new feature, Submit Intent to Depart, which offers unlawfully present aliens or those aliens whose parole has been revoked an orderly and defined voluntary process to notify the U.S. government of their intent to depart the United States. Using this feature is easy. Tap Departing Traveler to begin and select the language you wish to use. Select Submit Intent to Depart to take your photo. Follow the instructions on the screen to take a clear photo. Carefully fill out the mandatory biographical information fields along with a current phone number. Provide a yes or no response regarding whether or not you have enough money to depart and a valid, unexpired passport. Once you have reviewed and verified your information, click on Submit. Next, you will receive a successful submission notification. You will receive an email to your login.gov email address with instructions on your next steps. For more information, visit the CBP Home application webpage.
As effective of earlier this, like 2025, when the Trump administration was voted in, and they put that in law, just like Title 22, because that's executive order. Okay, this is the ruling of how you administrate the national crime. See, I want you to understand, when you was hearing those people lie about the different procedures or what's how you're accepting, and these are the requirements of that you could come into the country and claim asylum. So if you seek asylum and you say these specific things, we have to let you stay in. That's to let you know that that was a lie and that was propaganda. Title 42 couldn't be put into law without Congress passing Title 42 in law. But Title 2 was put in law because the requirements under Title 8 allowed the administration, the President of the United States, to set certain guidelines to how people coming into the country, people seeking asylum, people crossing illegally into the country are to be regulated. So at any time until Congress passes another law, immigration policies and who is allowed to seek asylum and how they're able to seek asylum and whoever is able to come into the country is regulated by the executive branch, the president. That's the only way that you give validity to the Title 42. So if they gave validity to the Title 42 and reverted back to Title 8, and that's what your liberal people said, that's what they agreed to. So we know that to be fact. That they validated Title 42. It is validated under the administration and under the laws of Title 8 that Title 42 was put into existence, and it was actually a favorite. It was actual law put into order, and because of the overwhelming surge of the border under the Biden administration, Trump came in and he put this enforcement in, and it's legal, and it's been ruled all the way up to the Supreme Court to be legal. So now I'll play it again because I know that you guys are slow. This is the law.
If you're in the United States illegally and you want the chance to lawfully return in the future, you must self-deport. CBP Home is the new application.
That's all illegal immigrants, all asylum seekers that haven't been ruled by a court. You're supposed to be leaving now. They are not leaving. They're setting up daycares. They're setting up real estate companies. They're setting up restaurants and all those. These people are illegal and they have no legitimacy to be here effective of this law. Well, actually, of Title 8. But if administrations or presidents don't abide by Title 8, if it's enforced by an actual president, it's law.
That will allow you to do this. The CBP Home app has a new feature, Submit Intent to Depart, which offers unlawfully present aliens or those aliens whose parole has been revoked an orderly and defined voluntary process to notify the U.S. government of their intent to depart the United States.
And if they haven't notified the government, and when they pick you up and ICE pick you up, don't be bitching them on it. Just get in the car. You know you were supposed to self-deport. If you didn't self-deport, then we'll deport you ourselves.
Using this feature is easy. Tap Departing Traveler to begin and select the language you wish to use. Select Submit Intent to Depart to take your photo. Follow the instructions on the screen to take a clear photo. Carefully fill out the mandatory biographical information fields along with a current phone number. Provide a yes or no response regarding whether or not you have enough money to depart and a valid, unexpired passport. Once you have reviewed and verified your information, click on Submit. Next, you will receive a successful submission notification. You will receive an email to your login.gov email address with instructions on your next steps. For more information, visit the CBP Home application webpage.
Yeah, look, I know. I'm probably pissing off people. I might making people that don't want to watch this episode. You know what I mean? Don't watch it. But like I said, my job is not to even appease the viewers. It's really to make sure I tell you guys the truth. And be very open and honest and be very objective. Even if some of the stuff I say may piss you off, it's really truthful. Okay? So I want you guys to understand. When you go into Minnesota and you're dealing with all these crazy Somalis and all this stuff like that, this is the foundation of how this thing snowballed. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So, let's move to the next one because we're going into Somali. Okay? I want you to understand what happened now. I want to get you up to what's the rules, what's the law now.
On January 20th, 2025, President Trump signed the Securing Our Borders executive order allowing U.S. Customs and Border Protection to make significant strides in strengthening our nation's border security and operational efficiency. During the first 100 days under the leadership of President Trump, the Office of Field Operations and U.S. Border Patrol has seen less than 100,000 enforcement encounters at our borders, compared to the previous Biden administration of more than 500,000 encounters. Strengthening our front lines has been a priority, with more than 500 Border Patrol agents being reassigned to field duty, deputizing more than 3,000 National Guard soldiers, partnering with local and state law enforcement, and collaborating with Department of Defense, ICE, and international agencies. The These combined efforts have allowed CBP to tackle some of the biggest threats to public safety by reducing the amount of gotaways by 95%, seizing more than 165,000 pounds of illicit drugs, and decreasing illegal border crossings by 95%. With increased security at our borders, a reduction in our daily encounters is less than 200 compared to the previous administration daily encounters of up to 15,000. In addition, CBP's Air and Marine Operations has conducted more than 240 flight hours to assist ICE in removal operations of more than 820 detained illegal aliens. Over the past 100 days, CBP has responded with increased patrols by conducting an additional 11,800 land patrol hours, 19,800 maritime patrol hours, and 1,400 immigration-related flight hours. The men and women of CBP are dedicated to securing our borders, preventing drug smuggling, combating human trafficking, and dismantling criminal networks that threaten our communities. CBP is ready today to face the challenges of tomorrow.
Okay. There's a case. You didn't understand what the law is. What's the actual ruling law under law right now? It's just ridiculous, y'all. It's really ridiculous. And the only reason why I'm really kind of being an asshole about this is because every single day, Black American citizens, white American citizens, Asian American citizens, Hispanic American citizens actually get put in jail. They get violated, they get fined, they get all kind of crazy stuff put on them, disruptive to their lives, disruptive to their family life, disorientating to their work, their jobs, their companies, everything. It's on a day-to-day basis. Our law enforcement, judges, prosecutors, police officers, all of them are extremely disrupting American citizens' life. And we have 25 to 35 million illegals, and because they cross the border illegally, they're criminals. Until you get every single one out of here or they are ruled on, you can't prosecute an American citizen unless they do some degenerate, ridiculous stuff. But some of this stuff that pulling over people, finding people, doing all this crazy, very extremely low level incidents and stuff, this is ridiculous. Y'all got a lot of work to do. And y'all all have failed. So we all, good citizens, lawful citizens, we're surrounded by criminal law enforcement. Why? Because they're not enforcing the immigration laws. We're surrounded by city council members, senators, congressmen, judges, mayors, governors that are criminals because they are not enforcing the immigration laws. Meaning that they can't enforce no law on us unless it's life and death or some crazy, ridiculous stuff. So they delegitimize themselves to pass judgment on us, the American citizen, until they put themselves right and fair in the law. And they haven't, because they haven't followed the immigration policy of Title 8 or anything that's written into law and that's executive order into law of the actual executive branch right now. This is ridiculous. It really is. Really is. Okay. Now we're going into the Minnesota fraud to kind of show you when American citizens decide to criminalize themselves by not following and not abiding by immigration policies because of illogical point of view of helping the pathetic colored people. Because that's how they look at us. They look at us like we're so pathetic that we need help in, our oppression of the white man and stuff. We're so weak. They gotta pat us on our head to make them feel like, like, we're not going to enslave you. We understand that your ancestors were slave. That's how they look at us. So, and you guys love that stuff. You know, the Black Americans, we love that. Y'all love that. Y'all love to be like, you know, like a little dog and patted on the head and like your fur rubbed and stuff like that, or your head rubbed because some sympathy, and you like to be like, look at it like a pathetic nobody. Which, look, I know a bunch of Black people that are strong, powerful, can do, and I'm just being sarcastic with this, but majority, you gotta understand. 92% of women voted for Kamala. You get what I'm saying? 87% of men voted for, Black men voted for Kamala. 92% of Black women voted for Kamala. And if you go through every Democrat president, going all the way back to one of the most highly racist presidents in the country, Lyndon Johnson, you will see those numbers have stayed consistent. 92% of women and more voted for every Democrat president. 87% or more of Black men voted for Democrat president. No race in the country has been that sheepish. Not Hispanics, not Asians, not Indians, no race has been that zombie-led than Black Americans. You don't see no problem with that? Okay. So be it.
Breaking developments in KARE 11's housing hustle investigation. The first guilty plea in a sweeping federal fraud case tied to Minnesota's Housing Stabilization Services Program. One of the business owners at the center of our investigation has just admitted to wire fraud. He told employees to bill as much as they could while homeless Minnesotans waited for help that never came.
And you're sitting there in the cold thinking, okay, any day now. And that any day never comes.
Anwar Adow now faces up to 4 years in prison, and prosecutors say this crackdown on fraud, it's far from over. You can watch our full investigation on KARE11.com and streaming on KARE 11 Plus.
Okay. I want you guys to know how criminal the stuff that was going on in Minnesota was. And that's why that heat is on them, because it was just too much.
Well, prosecutors say it is one of the largest pandemic fraud cases in the country.
But there were some shocking developments before the case made it into the hands of the jury. Maury Glover joins us now with the details of a juror who says someone tried to bribe her, Maury.
Well, that's right. One of the prosecutors called it outrageous behavior and said this stuff happens in mob movies after someone dropped off a bag of cash at a juror's house last night.
The 7 defendants in the Feeding Our Future trial are accused of stealing $40 million from a program meant to feed hungry children during the pandemic. But as the high-profile trial entered its 7th week, it had its most unexpected twist yet. According to a search warrant filed in federal court,
you didn't know about this case was going on a couple years ago, last year. None of this stuff. You got Tim Watts as the actual potential vice president of Kamala Harris. And nobody brought this up. Not even Republicans brought this up. So I'm telling you, man, it's crazy how he been and for the last 3 years, his state had the most fraud crime through the pandemic, and he's running for vice president. It's ridiculous.
23-year-old female juror.
The joke on us, we're foolish, we're stupid, we're struggling, busting our ass, going to work and doing all the crazy stuff we're doing on a day-to-day basis to try to be lawful, legal citizens and respected citizens, and everybody around you making money. They get government hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars going into foreigners' pockets and all kind of stuff. You got India doing deals with our government, and they're actually sending billions of dollars for their their citizens that come here on a work visa to purchase houses and all kind of stuff in our country. So we, all the new houses, all the great stuff that we got economically here for black people and people, white people that's coming out of poverty, and they starting to get their first really good job, and they's making money. And the houses that you dreamed, that you wish that you could buy, just got taken up by Indians coming here from India, coming here, buying up the the brand new $500,000 houses, the brand new $800,000 house, the brand new $200,000 house, brand new $300,000 house, and we go out of stock. And the $1 million available houses that are available for sales, they get ate up by Indians and China and all kind of foreigners and government money and stuff, been purchased for Hispanics to live in, because they got to put them up somewhere because they can't keep paying for hotels and all that stuff. So our government giving them new houses, and you don't take my word for it. Take a drive. Leave your house. Take a drive. You'll see it. You'll see it. You're an idiot.
That a woman handed this gift bag to a relative at her house Sunday night, saying it was a present for the juror who wasn't home.
And look, I'm not against people. I'm not a racist. I love all these people. You don't understand. Very important people in my life are like Asians and Hispanics and Indians and stuff like that. I'm saying not for my citizen friends or citizen family members, the people that have been birthed here and they born here, and they family have legacy foundation here. They are great respectable citizens. I'm talking about people that just came here, and just to overthrow white people, they were given ultimate power over all of us. Ultimate power over all of us, and they're not even legal. They're not even nationalized citizens. It's ridiculous. I know I might be enemy of my friends and family, but look, I just want to put it on the record. What's going on has a reason why it's going on. You can't even stop it. I'm not even trying to say this to say, oh, we all need to wake up. Nah, it's over. Okay. I said this in 2015. Trump fighting for a dead country. This country's dead. It's a corpse. I say the best thing you could do now is try to make money, try to have a decent life and enjoy decent things and experience things that you want to experience in your life, and try to level up your own personal life and everything, because that's level up culture. That's what we in here now. So try to win that level up war and do the best you can for your own life and your own family and the people that you surround yourself and all that stuff like that. That's the best you're going to be able to do, and die to make this country legitimate and lawful and a good place. It's done. We're done.
At the time, when the relative brought the bag inside, he discovered it was filled with $120,000 in cash. The woman also told the relative to tell the juror to say not guilty tomorrow, and there would be more of that present tomorrow. When the juror returned, she called 911 immediately and gave the money to police. The judge excused the juror and questioned the other 17 jurors and alternates, but none reported talking to anyone about the trial. The judge also decided to detain the defendants, ordered them to surrender their phones, and sequestered the jury until the trial is over. The defendants are the first to go on trial of 70 people charged with defrauding a federal program to reimburse schools, daycares, and nonprofits for giving meals to needy children. Prosecutors say only 10% of that money was spent on food. They claim the defendants spent the rest on lakefront property, luxury cars, and jewelry for themselves.
Why do you think that they did that? Why do you think they did that? Because they don't care about going to jail. Why they sent that money back to Somalia? They family members got it. They got it in their names, and they're not going to take it away from them because they got no actual connection to the actual crime done. So if they go to jail for being sought guilty for this thing, it is not and they family members benefit, but the stuff that they have get repossessed, but not extended people. Y'all dumb. You think they gonna just give only 10%? They fed 10% of the people. They use 10% of the money to feed people, and 90% of the money. They not saying this because it's rhetoric. It's not rhetoric. This is what's actual evidence in the case. This is wow. Meaning $40 million, $100 million. They actually says is when they went outside, because this is when it was first started. They say when they went outside to see all the other connection to the money that's been given through the government, they seen that it was up to like $2 to $20 billion of fraud. It's crazy now. This is the beginning of it. I just want you guys to know where the foundation of it. So when you see Renee Good's situation, don't think that that's out of nowhere. She has no idea what she's getting in the middle of. It's to the immigration policies been like criminalized, and we got judges and senators and congressmen and prosecutors and police officers like illegally, like not illegally but criminally not upholding the immigration laws. And then it spills over to the dumb citizens that say, "Oh, don't take that as my Mexican neighbor. Don't take the people that live in our neighborhood." These are illegitimate criminal people doing all this stuff. You're gonna have to sweep all the people out, take care of everything that's illegal in order to justify and bring everything right. I think it's a futile effort, but that's why Renee Good, she should never been in that situation. Her warped ass girlfriend brought her into that situation. She's not even really built for that, but her whacked ass girlfriend was. Always the good, innocent people that get sucked into someone else's emotion, someone else's being of thinking, someone else's ideology. That person suffers. This happened to people in business. This happened to people doing stuff. You say, "Oh, you know what? We're gonna fight together. We're gonna fight for success together." But because you're going into it body and soul to say we're gonna fight, we're gonna achieve, the other people are risk averse. And you don't know that. So you're going in the door, you're aggressive. You're like, yeah, we're fighting. But the other people's taking a step back. Like, oh yeah, we want to fight, but we don't want to fight that much. We don't want to fight to hurt ourselves, to inconvenience ourselves. We're risk averse. We're doing this with risk averse. But I got you with your hair whirled up. Oh, we're gonna make a movie. We're gonna make a movie with nothing. No backing, no true power, no true enthusiasm. Oh, hold on a second. I'm not gonna hurt myself. I gotta go to work. Well, you can't get the movie done then. I've been metaphoric, but we'll get there.
Now, the trial did continue with attorneys for 3 of the defendants giving their closing arguments before the jury received the case late this afternoon. Back to
Ridiculous. Let's go to the next one.
Tonight, something a prosecutor called the stuff that happens in mob movies, as a Minneapolis jury heads into deliberations without 2 jurors, after someone allegedly tried to bribe one and a second juror was asked about it by her family. Photos from a search warrant filed by the FBI showing a big bag decorated with butterflies on the outside and $120,000 cash on the inside. According to the warrant, a woman showed up at the doorstep of Juror 52 on Sunday night with a bag, handing it to the juror's relative, saying it was a present for the juror, referencing her first name. The woman told the relative to tell Juror 52 to say not guilty tomorrow, and there would be more of that present. Juror 52 immediately...
Did they catch this lady? Do they got any reports of who this lady was? Nope. I'm telling you, no. No investigators, it's all illegal. There's no judges, there's no prosecutors all over the country, and especially in Minnesota, that went to prosecute or threatened the police chief, and the police chief threatened the officers, that they're not investigating crimes that you cannot just let flourish. It delegitimizes everything.
Immediately called 911 to report the incident. Police finding $100, $50, and $20 bills.
Does this come off as a blatant attempt to tamper with the jury?
When we have someone interfering with the jury process, that is supposed to be sacrosanct. That is supposed to be something that is not touched throughout the trial. And this is really an interference into that.
In court, the defense attorney telling the judge the bag of cash is a, quote, troubling and upsetting accusation. A wild development after the 7-week-long trial over the alleged theft of COVID funds, the first of a chain of expected trials, and now a possible new crime under investigation.
Maura is joining us now.
We don't want to hear what you got to say. Y'all can hear what I got to say. Don't even need that. Ridiculous. I'm telling y'all, illegitimate. Okay. See what this next clip is.
Over a bag of cash dropped off, meant to encourage a non-guilty verdict.
And it comes as a critical time now in the trial. The jury deliberates the accusations of this massive, widespread fraud scheme. Our Fox 9's Rob Olson has been on top of this trial from the start. And Rob, has anything like this happened in Minnesota before? This is like something you'd expect out of a mob trial out east.
Yeah, the answer to the people I've talked to is no. The former chief judge of Hennepin County, Kevin Burke, today is communicating with him. He'd never heard of this happening in Minnesota. He said there's some historical examples of it, certainly in some mob cases for sure. But he said, in essence, it's not even fair to call it rare. It's less than rare that this happens. But this morning, a second juror dismissed simply because they'd heard about the bribery attempt that led to the dismissal of a juror yesterday.
Those bags of cash left for a juror Sunday night, $120,000 in hundreds, 50s, and 20s, are now evidence in a new federal investigation of attempted bribery and jury tampering. The juror targeted in the attempt, a 23-year-old woman, was dismissed Monday morning and replaced by an alternate. The remaining jurors immediately sequestered to stop further attempts and from them hearing about this, which would be considered prejudicial in their deliberations. But then Tuesday morning, a 25-year-old juror admitted hearing of the attempted bribe from a family member and was also dismissed and replaced. The 7 defendants collectively accused of stealing nearly $50 million in federal money were taken into custody Monday and booked since only
had a good time. And look, y'all, I want to get more deeper into this, but I want to go into I want to go into the Renee Good situation. The reason why I'm showing this to you is to show you the foundation of why ICE and the federal government had to come in there and regulate these illegal immigrants. These people are here. They actually in there. They actually get wealthy, buy Mercedes, houses, all kind of crazy stuff, which that's illegal for the banks. That's illegal for the, like, anybody that did transactions with them and they were not legal citizens. That's illegal. They should not be here living a life. I don't care if they in waiting. They be in waiting in somebody else's house that is illegal citizens, and they stay shut up until their court case come. I don't care if it takes 2 to 3 years, 10 years. You're not supposed to be out in the commerce situation, like bargain trading, and you're an illegal. You get what I'm saying? You have no right to go purchase stuff. You have no right to do any of that stuff. Somebody can purchase for you and then bring it back to the house so you can have new clothes and food and all that stuff. But you can't be out here doing that stuff. This is ridiculous. That's why you got to be absolute and be finite about the decisions that are made. We have to live our lives like this. But look at this stuff. Look at this stuff. $50 million coming across their hands, dude. And we're talking about 4 people's hands. 4 illegal immigrants' hands. This is crazy.
They and their lawyers would know juror identities. At the end of a trial that began in late April with 24 days of testimony and evidence, this is a twist that is almost entirely unheard of. Kevin Burke, the former Hennepin County Chief Judge, told me I've never heard of an instance of an attempted bribe of a juror in Minnesota. Judge Jeremy Fogel, the former director of the Federal Judicial Center in Washington, D.C., with 30 years on the bench, told me this situation never arose in any of my jury trials, nor did I hear of anything similar from my colleagues. And former U.S. Attorney for Minnesota, Tom Heffelfinger, this is a very unusual and dangerous situation and will be fully investigated by federal authorities. I would expect federal charges in the future.
Ridiculous.
And the jury's still deliberating. No verdict today. They got the case yesterday. They were due to wrap up today at about 5 o'clock, so right around now. No verdict yet. But, even though it appears the U.S. Attorney, the government here has a very solid case, consider the logistics here. They had so much testimony and evidence to go through, but also there's 7 defendants with a combined 41 charges that each have to be gone through and voted on one at a time. So they'll be back at it tomorrow, live in Minneapolis.
And it's just about this fraud. And that's why the ICE and the Border Patrol came in and just scoop up all the illegal immigrants. It's time to take you guys in. This is ridiculous. You get what I'm saying? People running amok, okay? And I'm going to play a couple clips of Nick Shirley. He actually went on the ground and gave more evidence and really went to certain places, a daycare, say, hey, there's got 80 kids in here. It's got like a lot of kids been at this daycare, and then he'll go in and there'll be no kids there or very little kids there, but they get paid for a certain amount, and saying that, and they said they found people coming in to to register the kids and then taking them home. It's just ridiculous, man. There's just so much fraud going on. It's just crazy.
We showed you guys what was happening, and then you guys can go ahead and make your own analysis.
We're coming so we can make our own analysis. Are you 100% sure you're true?
Yeah, I am 100% sure I'm true.
That was conservative YouTuber Nick Shirley. His viral video where he's going door to door at daycares in the Minneapolis area and saying that he's uncovering massive amounts of fraud at Somali-run daycares has exploded on social media. Elon Musk retweeted the video. J.D. Vance retweeted the video. CNN is looking into Shirley's claims. This idea of fraud in Minnesota, though, is not new. In fact, for many, many years, the Department of Justice has been prosecuting cases against dozens.
If it's not new, then you are admitting that it's accurate reporting and it's legitimate reporting. So you're saying that he shouldn't be out there reporting something that's already been known, so he won't make the Somalians look bad. Come on, man. This is crazy. I'm telling y'all, CNN, but Fox News is just messy as CNN. I'm sorry, Fox. When y'all did this stupid fair and balance mean I'm gonna let a Republican lie and a Democrat lie, and the anchor is not gonna say, okay, you guys said your opinion, but this was the actual facts, and the truth is, we're just going to let their bickering and them bloviating at each other, we're going to let that be how a viewers, okay, who just told the truth? Oh, we're ending a segment, we're going to our next segment. It's ridiculous. Fair and balanced is garbage, but, CNN's garbage, and I'm just letting you know that Fox News ain't no better.
Of defendants, many of whom are concentrated in the Somali American community here in the Minneapolis area. Some of those cases actually began under Biden's DOJ in 2022 for a various list of different types of frauds. And so far, there have been at least 80 people indicted, at least 56 convictions. Attorney General Pam Bondi responded to
because it's becoming because Nick Shirley made it go nationally. She's upset and said, "Hey, this is already this," and it was shit reported. It was shit resolved, and by that time, a bunch of money got sent back to Somalia and got sent to terrorists and all kind of crazy stuff. I'll go deeper into this on another episode, but I'm actually gonna do a second part to this so we can start going into the Renee Good situation. But I want to baseline the foundation of the immigration issue and how the Somalian and illegal immigration policies on the Hispanics and everybody in Minnesota, how ridiculous that state. It's just ridiculous.
Did to the Shirley video, as did the FBI director Kash Patel. Both of them say federal law enforcement has been all over this from the beginning and has secured many indictments. Further, this has become a major political headache for Governor Tim Walz because Republicans here in Minnesota say he is ultimately responsible for these fraud issues, for not doing enough to have an adequate level of accountability. Governor Walz says that he has done a lot. He's shut down one program. He's established a program integrity director. He says that he is doing what he can to try to root out this fraud.
He's doing what he can. I can't do anything. Yeah, stupid. But look, we give you a scoop on this. There's a lot going on here, you guys, and I'm gonna come back with the ruling of that actual case to why the actual jurors were deliberating. I'm gonna come back with the results on the second part and before we go into the situation that happened to Renee Good. Okay.
Who owns that? Who owns that building over there? The Quality Center.
That is, I don't have.
And why did they change the sign? So then, okay, well, that's what we're here for. So.
Well, right now you need to tell America that, and that's a different problem.
This is my God. People who have a huge knowledge to run. We have so MAGA coming here doing
MAGA. That was Nick Shirley. And they said MAGA people coming here to investigate us, to put a spotlight on us. It's blah blah blah. Yeah. That's what happens when, the truth is overwhelming. Okay, guys, look, this is the first part. I'm coming in back with a second part, and we're gonna go into the actual Renee Good situation of the Minnesota. But I want you guys to understand: you have the fraud, you have the illegal immigrants that were put into Minnesota because to make sure that they have safe harbor. You get what I'm saying? So that's why ICE coming in and ICE kind of patrolling and grabbing up people and leaving. And then you got liberal people there because obviously if all this stuff going on and innocent bystander black people and white people are just kind of letting it happen and they're getting poorer and poorer and poorer. But for this Somalian community and Hispanic community is getting richer, you get what I'm saying? Out of nowhere, it's just ridiculous. Okay, look, I know it sounds racist and judgmental to illegal immigrants. I'm just saying some things are unsustainable and it's self-destructive. I'm not saying that it's gonna ever stop. I think that the country's dead. I think all these cities are dead. I think that no one is communicating because I always say you have to have control of the narrative. And Republicans and Donald Trump, they are terrible at controlling the narrative. And so a lot of common sense stuff that the people would pass a judgment on and say this is ridiculous and fight for some kind of justice in their own cities and stuff, it's just not been communicated forcefully and pretty, can I say forcefully or actually accurate. It's just the narrative is just completely liberal and socialist and ideologically idealism and feelings and emotions and stuff, and there's a lot of disruptive chaos is going on because there's no standards, there's no structure, there's no stable foundation to operate our government and states governments, because everybody's trying to feel like, oh, come on, these people are, and they always say, these people are paying taxes, which that's illegal. Oh, they're making our foods, they're cleaning our bathroom, they're doing the jobs that black people don't want to do. What? Because our culture makes it that it's not good to work at Walmart and Myers and Popeyes and McDonald's, and all you got to do is double up, and you'll be just as powerful as a lot of the economic people here. Yeah, I already said this in previous episodes, but the goal, if you want to understand what's the goal of an actual human being's life or a household's life, make $37 to $75 an hour. Your household, $37 to $75 an hour. $37 to $75 an hour, $300 to $600 a day. That gives you economic power in majority all the scenarios that may come your way in America. It doesn't matter if you're doing that at Popeye's Chicken. Doesn't matter if you're doing that at Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or Walmart or anything. Don't let society judge you and damn you how you make your money to coexist and win in this society. The society is a whore, leveled up culture society. They don't care about morality or principle or if you're a good person or not, or if you're just a hard worker and an ethical person. They don't care. It all cares about how much money can you spend, how much power and stability do you have in your own life. We gotta fight this, but I don't think you can fight. I think you gotta have 3 generations die off before you can correct this, and that's gonna be a long time. I'll be dead and gone. So it's irrelevant to even keep talking about. Really, I just put it out there so it can be on some kind of record. So we're going to come back with the second part of this. I'm going to resolve that actual case. I'm going to go grab a clip or something to represent what was the ruling of that case, that first case. And maybe I'll go into some of the other fraud cases just so you can see the balloon of it. And then I'll show them Renee Good's situation. And we'll tie this story up because we got a lot of other stuff to talk about. See you guys on the next episode. By the way, please subscribe, hit the subscribe, follow. Come on, y'all. We need to get these likes up. We need to get these subscribers up. Let's get it. I'm trying to do this for you guys. I'm fighting. I got a lot of other stuff too. I need to be occupy my time in. I got to get that money too. You know what I mean? But please, if you guys can support, hit the subscribe. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D. McKinney, and I'll see you guys on the next one.